Hi everybody, my name's Jackie Kearney. Hope you're all okay. It's a really difficult time at the moment, I know. It's difficult, everyone's got their own challenges, right? So I'm sort of stuck in the UK instead of Italy, where I've moved to. So whilst I've been stuck here, I've been busying myself in my daughter's kitchen, and I've been cooking for the Eat Well Manchester collaborative. So if you want to check that out, by the way, guys, on social media, at Eat Well Manchester, we're trying to feed help to feed NHS staff and people who are struggling and rough sleepers who've been rehoused in hotels, and it's being organised by Mary Ellen McTague, and lots of chefs are involved, lots of hospitality people. So if you want to get involved or you want to show some support, please go and check them out at Eat Well Manchester, MCR. Right, back to the recipe, because that's what I've been busying myself with. While we've all been in lockdown, that's what I've been doing, cooking for other people, because it just helps a bit. So what I'm going to show you today is a really simple dish. It's only got 7 ingredients. It's actually a dish from my first book, Vegan Street Food, which is marmalade tofu with chilli and cashew nuts. This book actually won Pizza Cookbook of the Year in 2015, so it's very much my pride and joy. So this dish is absolutely delicious. It's tangy, it's spicy, it's saucy and sticky, everything you want from a dish, and you can have it ready in 15 minutes. So absolutely perfect. And only 7 ingredients. So you can use any kind of firm tofu. This tofu, I'll tell you a little something about tofu afterwards. Some cashew nuts, some marmalade, a little bit of ginger and garlic, and some soy sauce, quality soy sauce, and chilies. Now these are dried whole chilies. You can use for this any kind of chili, dried chilies. You could use fresh chilies actually, if that's all you have, fine. Whole dried chilies though are such a great staple, store cupboard staple to have. So whole ones, you want to pop them into some boiling water like that and leave them to soak for about 10 minutes, and they'll go nice and soft so that you can tear them easily like this. You can also buy these chopped ones like this, which are great, but just make sure that you don't leave behind all the seeds when you're cooking with them, because you'll lose all of the spice. And you need to have the heat from the chilies to balance with the sweetness from the lovely tangy marmalade. So the first thing we're going to do is get the pan hot. So we're going to get the pan really nice and hot. You want to get it so you can really feel the heat on that surface of the dry frying pan. Then first thing we're going to do, toast the cashew nuts. So I'm going to make a portion for one person here. So I've quartered the recipe. So that's about a tablespoon and a half of cashew nuts. And we're just going to lightly toast them in this really hot pan. So, there we go. And just so they start to take a little bit of colour, because it's nice to bring out the flavour in the cashew nuts before they go into the sauce, so that they don't taste as bland. So toast the cashew nuts until they're lovely and toasted and brown like that, dry toasted. Pop the pan back on there, and then we're going to prepare some of the other ingredients. So I'm doing this for one person, so I'm going to use 1 garlic clove, 1 nice big chunk of ginger, which I'm going to peel using a spoon, because you get so much more of the ginger by just using a spoon like that, rather than using a knife, which often takes away too much of the produce. And we're all about saving at the moment, aren't we? Right, the second thing I want to show you is the tofu. This is firm tofu. Now, this tofu has actually been frozen and then defrosted, so you can see that it's got a slightly different texture to normal tofu. You want to squeeze all of the excess water using both of your hands gently together, palms together, squeezing it, and all that water, excess water, will come out, and it stops the tofu from being soggy. These are my top tips, by the way, for how to make tofu taste good. So we're going to get a good portion of tofu for one person and just chop that into bite-sized pieces. So you can use whatever you like. You can use some chicken, you can use some prawns. Right. So I've got the pan really nice and hot again. Needs to be almost smoking hot, so you can really feel that heat. I'm going to take a teaspoon and a half of oil. I'm using coconut oil. You can use a vegetable oil. Try to use something that's got quite a high burning temperature, like sunflower oil or rapeseed oil. I'm just going to melt that oil in the pan, and you can see that my pan's smoking hot, so I'm just going to pop this fan on so that I don't set my smoke alarm off, like a certain Australian chef on a certain cooking show. So yeah, I've got that pan nice and hot. I'm going to pop my tofu into there, and I'm going to fry this tofu to get it nice and golden brown. I'm going to make sure that all the tofu gets a little bit of that oil, and I'm just going to brown that nicely. Now I'm just going to talk quite loudly over the fan, because, you know, if you've not tried tofu before, this is a really great dish to have a little go at doing this. So if you've not tried tofu before, this is a really great dish to have a go at making it into tasting really good. Because tofu in itself isn't that interesting, but this is one of those dishes that can take something that's really simple plant-based and turn it into something really special. My tip is that if you want the tofu to have more texture, freeze it first and then defrost it. It'll give it more texture. Then make sure you get all the water out of it, and either fry it in a pan like this to make it a little bit crispy on the outside. If you want to be a bit more healthy and use no oil, pop it into the oven on a greaseproof sheet and bake it on about 175, 180 for maybe 15-20 minutes, and that'll make it nice and crispy and chewy. But we're going for just frying this in a little bit of coconut oil, which will give it a nice flavour. I only use coconut oil really in more Asian dishes that can take a little bit of coconut flavour. Otherwise I'd use something like sunflower oil. So while the tofu is cooking, we're going to prepare some of the other vegetables. Over here, these are the dried chilies that I soaked earlier. You can see that they've gone nice and soft now. All I need to do with these is just tear them slightly. You might want to wear gloves doing this, or make sure that you don't touch anything you don't want to later if you do use your hands. I'm also going to prepare the garlic. You just want to crush the garlic and give it a rough chop. It doesn't need to be massively smooth, it just needs to be a little bit diced. There we go. So chop that onto there. So we've got the garlic, we've got the chilli, and now we're going to slice. Now the ginger, slice into thin slices, as thin as you can, and then take the slices and stack them on top of each other like this, and then you can cut them into thin sticks like so. I'm actually filming this on the wrong side, but I'm afraid I can't make myself left-handed whilst doing something so precarious. So you see you end up with these little fine sticks. Now if you like big pieces of ginger, you can leave it like this, or you can cut the other way and just make a really nice, and there's nothing quite like fresh chopped ginger in a dish, guys. I really recommend doing that rather than buying a ginger paste. So once your tofu is a little bit golden and crispy on the outside, or whatever you're using is cooked, put a tiny bit more oil into the pan, and then you want to add all those other ingredients, the chilli, the garlic and the ginger. You probably want about a tablespoon of chopped ginger to get the right balance of flavour. I used 4 dried chilies. Now that's because I like it spicy, but if you like it less spicy, you could use 1 or 2 less than that. And what we're going to do now is just stir fry these ingredients together in the pan like so, just for a moment or two. So stir fry for a couple of minutes, just until the garlic and the ginger starts to take on a little bit of a golden colour, it starts to caramelise a little bit, and you just get all the smells of everything coming together. And now we're going to add the final ingredients. So now we're going to put the final ingredients into this really simple dish. So the next ingredients are marmalade, which we've got about a tablespoon and a half. The actual recipe is 3 tablespoons for 4 people, so you can kind of work it out to however many you're cooking for. But as I said, making it for 1. So I'm going to use a really big, heaped, generous tablespoon of marmalade actually. This is a really nice Sicilian one. And then I'm going to add the soy sauce. I want a tablespoon, you want half to a tablespoon. I can use a full tablespoon here because this is low salt. I suggest that if you're using the full salt one, I've just spilt the water, never mind. Add a little bit of water and then you just bring it all together. And there we go. And you let the marmalade melt and it all goes lovely and sticky and delicious. Oh my days. And I've just got a little bit more water to put in there. And so you want about a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of water in, and that just makes it a little bit saucier like so. So it coats all the tofu. And the tofu will act like a sponge now. It's going to soak up all that orange flavour, all that spicy, all the little salty, slightly umami from the soy sauce. I'm going to have a little taste, and that's delicious. And finally, the last thing is to add all of the cashews. Just keep about a few just to decorate with at the end. We'll mix those in and it's good to go. And so there you go, marmalade tofu with chilies and toasted cashews. Absolutely delicious. I suggest serving it with a few more toasted cashews on the top and with some nice sticky steamed rice. So there you go. Spicy, tangy, sticky, very savoury, nice and nutty, really nutritious. Marmalade tofu with chilli and cashew nuts. I hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions and you want to get in touch, drop me a line at hello@thehungrygecko.com, or if you want me to do another recipe. Take care guys. Stay safe out there.